Welcome back to Mighty Race Later, where we're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's get into it. Okay, Carrie, the Met Gala was last weekend, and I know we said a few weeks ago that the gala is basically Anna Wintour's favorite hobby. She controls the rich and famous like they're place cards at a wedding.
Yeah, but this is not just a party. It's Anna picking the dress code, the seating chart, and absolutely deciding who's sitting at home. It's her annual performance review for the 1%.
And we're going to get to the dresses. But one of the biggest storylines coming out of the event is around Lauren Sanchez Bezos. And honestly, the hypocrisy is actually really funny to me. So there's these attendees and some former attendees saying that she did not earn her invite. Her husband bought it, right? Implying or flat out stating that she would not be invited on her own.
You guys, this is literally a fundraiser where rich people pay a cover charge to cosplay as patrons of the arts. No one over here is getting canonized for charity.
Exactly. And saying that you earned it by being a designer's muse is just rich girl for my BBL fits couture samples.
And let's face it, somebody's got to write those checks. This whole thing doesn't exist without people willing to spend $100,000 for a ticket. And then everything else you need to show up. The hair, the makeup, and this dress that we're going to be talking about until next year's gala.
And Vogue makes millions themselves. They live streamed the red carpet, and it's Super Bowl level ad money.
So the Costume Institute raised millions of dollars, Vogue gets tens of millions of dollars, and you have people out here saying it's not about the money?
Right. Now, we do want to say, there were protesters outside, specifically protesting Amazon. But no one inside wanted to talk about the underlying reasons for that. They just wanted to complain that she wasn't the right kind of rich. But let's talk about Lauren Sanchez Bezos. She's kind of fascinating to me. So Lauren is a former journalist. She was featured in People magazine's Most Beautiful issue back in 2010. She has a Team Emmy Award and another individual Emmy nomination for her work at Fox Sports. All of this was before most of us knew her name. And her oldest son's dad is Tony Gonzalez, the former NFL tight end and current Thursday Night Football analyst, coincidentally, is shown on Amazon Prime. Lauren is a helicopter pilot and started Black Ops Aviation, an aerial filming company. And yes, she cheated on her husband with Jeff Bezos. But come on, he is the fourth richest man in the world. And let's not for a second pretend that she was the only former mistress in that room.
Lauren's had this whole career and a very specific skill set long before anyone was zooming in on her ring or her dress. And now people are acting like she materialized the day after the affair was revealed. Like she spawned in from a Prime box labeled Home Wrecking Bimbo, when in reality she's been on TV in helicopters, and at the Emmys for years.
And, additionally, she's getting dragged this week by the internet for her outfit. But I actually think her outfit was perfect. It's based on a painting, Madame X, once considered the most scandalous painting in the world. The original had one strap off the shoulder, and it had to be repainted because that was just too risque.
And when you look at it like that, her reference in her quote-unquote costume is actually really smart. It's very, I know exactly what you're saying about me, and I'm going to lean into it.
Yeah. And I would have liked the top to be a little bit more structured, maybe not quite so fitted. I think Lauren fell into that Kim Kardashian trap of having the waist so tight that unless you're standing perfectly straight, it starts to wrinkle. But I like the back detail of her dress. And, I think a lot of people do want to put her into the dumb bimbo category, but she just isn't. And there really is a world where Lauren Sanchez would have been invited to the Met Gala even without her new last name. And I do have to say, right, that she actually thought her inauguration outfit was conservative. And evidently she read the comments, and her takeaway was that she shouldn't wear lace, not that she shouldn't wear a bustier.
Which is kind of iconic, and maybe her fashion icon is Dolly Parton, because When you hear that, it's Lauren going, yeah, message received. Less lace, more boning. Got it.
So, all in all, I think the inspiration for her look was on point. I think the dress might have been a bit boring. We've seen it before, but otherwise it was all fine.
And honestly, if the boring dress is still sparking think pieces like this podcast, it's doing its job.
100%. And she was not the only co-host that was boring. I'm looking at Nicole Kidman. Her daughter looked more on theme than Nicole did.
True. Nicole looked like she was on her way to one of her very expensive perfume launches and not a Met Gala.
And this was an easy theme, and too many people played it safe. Venus Williams and Beyonce were the co-host exceptions. Their looks, flawless. And they were the only ones who looked like they knew that they were co-hosting the Met, not judging a fragrance counter contest.
I love them. And they knew that because they didn't walk the carpet with their boring little co-host. They knew that they deserved their own moments.
Did you see that Nicole and Beyonce both brought their daughters, who are technically too young to attend per Anna Wintour's rules?
I mean, if there's one person who can treat the Met like a casual family outing, it's Beyonce. And Blue Ivy being there does feel a little bit like nepotism, but in a way that we don't care about and we fully support.
That's fair.
So, you know that my favorite look of the night was Stevie Nicks. And what I love most about it is that that dress was not made for that event. Like, Stevie probably just had that already in her closet and she meant to wear it, the Monday before last, but just decided to wear it this Monday.
I'm sure she did. And I'm going to admit that I actually really loved Kendall and Kylie Jenner's looks. I wish Kendall had worn the wings on the carpet, if you haven't seen it, but she absolutely knew the assignment and nailed it.
Jen, are you complimenting the car gens?
I think I'm complimenting their stylists, but yes. Look, they both look great. But before you don't recognize me anymore, I did hate Kim Kardashian's look. Kim's outfit was based on a sculptural look, but they chopped off the legs so she could wobble up the stairs. And then apparently just said, you know what? No pants. Again. And that's some of the same criticism that Lauren has faced, right? The look was boring because we've seen it before, right? We've seen Lauren in a plunging, super fitted dress 100 times. And we've seen Kim half dressed 1,000,000 times.
So we need to talk about Sarah Paulson too, because she pulled an AOC and was wearing a dollar bill mask and her dress was titled The 1%.
Girl, you are the 1%. You were not doing All's Fair because it was just too good of a script to turn down. Sarah Paulson did it because she made over $3 million for 9 episodes.
In other words, if your day rate could pay for a Met table, maybe don't dress up as late-stage capitalism's conscience.
Right?
We're not buying it.
Everybody wants to cosplay this whole eat the rich on the Met steps, but they all still showed up. They followed Anna's rules and they cashed their own checks, which brings us to maybe the most Met Gala image of all time. Blake Lively reminding her entourage to fluff her dress.
And in news that truly excited the group chat when she walked out, Blake Lively was on those steps mere hours after the announcement came out that she had settled the whole "it ends with us" case of the year.
And I am personally offended. I was emotionally prepared to spend 2 weeks of my life watching her testify. I cleared imaginary time in my calendar for this.
Well, we did all the homework already. We researched the harassment allegations, the retaliation claims, the alleged smear campaign, the whole Hollywood eats its own syllabus, and then they just settled. Like, roll credits.
Excuse me, I sat through a 152-page ruling dismissing most of her harassment claims. I learned what aiding and abetting retaliation means because clearly I never learned that in law school. And now I don't even get a courtroom Blake? Rude.
For anyone who missed our earlier episode, the judge tossed 10 of her 13 claims, including the headline-grabbing harassment and defamation parts, but left the retaliation and contract type stuff standing. So the trial was going to be about the alleged smear machine and the fallout, but not the original bad behavior.
Which is exactly what I wanted in this trial. I wanted those group chat receipts, Carrie. I wanted the PR emails, the who decided to leak what to which trade on a Sunday night flowchart. Instead, I get a joint statement about moving forward in a positive and peaceful manner. Boring.
And the settlement details are starting to trickle out. So there's no money changing hands. There are no appeals. Justin Baldoni's big $400 million countersuit is gone. And Blake's team is out here calling it a resounding victory.
Which is such a Hollywood outcome. I took no money, but spiritually, I won. Look, his giant countersuit getting wiped is real. But if I was Blake and I spent a year and a half in discovery and walk away with no dollars, I at least want some dramatic monologue from the stand.
So now all we're left with are the vibes and the theories. Officially, it's, oh, we're proud of the film. We care about survivors. We're glad Blake's concerns were heard, and we're moving on.
Unofficially, nobody wanted to testify. Blake didn't want her texts and emails being dissected in real time any more than they already have on TikTok. Justin and Wayfair didn't want their internal crisis PR strategy up on a courtroom projector. And Sony definitely did not want a week of "here's how we handle harassment claim" headlines.
Yeah, because once most of the harassment pieces got knocked out on technical grounds, that case was looking a lot narrower. Still serious, but not as cinematic. And that's usually when everyone suddenly discovers the magic of a settlement.
Yeah. And, we'd been speculating on what really happened on this set, but what I really think is that Blake never thought it would get this far, and neither did her lawyers. Right? They had their claims gutted. Frankly, the lawyers overreached. They had an incredibly aggressive strategy, and they were giving bully more than competent representation.
I agree. I think they assumed that Justin and Wayfair would settle a year ago in order to keep this quiet, and instead, they decided to spend everything they had to defend themselves.
And even the judge had been basically waving a white flag, like, you guys need to settle this, right? There's not going to be any winners, just bigger legal bills.
Right. So settlement is signed, and then 2 seconds later, there's Blake on the Met steps, like, legal war handled. Look at my dress. It's the most Hollywood image ever. Settle in the afternoon, serve couture at night.
Which honestly makes me hate her more. So she spent 2 years talking about how she was doing this for women who didn't have a voice, that she wanted her day in court. And then she just quietly signed some papers. She's back at the Church of Anna Wintour, making sure everyone knows that she's still on the list.
Did we ever suss out if she was actually invited or if she did crash it?
She was invited by Anna Wintour and sat at Anna's table.
Okay.
And she had that dress. That dress was made, in the last year. Like, the dress took a year to make.
Right.
She just needed to settle. Anna was like, you're not allowed to sit here unless it's settled. You can't sit with us.
And then she comes out in the dress that looks like the toilet paper dolly that my grandma crocheted. So somewhere out there are 12 hypothetical jurors who never got seated and are missing the performance of a lifetime.
Me, Carrie, I am one of those jurors. I am in mourning for the trial that could have been.
Never fear, Jen. In a hard pivot, any day now, the South Carolina Supreme Court is going to announce their decision of whether Alex Murdaugh is his murder conviction, if it's going to be reversed. And why is that? Well, it's because Clerk of Court Becky Hill and the allegations that she interfered with the jury. So the Supreme Court decision, the South Carolina Supreme Court decision, is going to depend on whether the justices decide that the federal standard will rule over the state standard. So the South Carolina state standard for interference with a jury requires both evidence of tampering and that it impacted the final verdict. The federal standard does not require evidence that it influenced the final verdict. And word on the street is that the justices are going to apply the federal standard and reverse his murder conviction. And that is even though Justice Toll had stated in her opinion that she found Becky's testimony not to be credible, and the jurors that were examined under oath said that none of Becky's statements influenced their decision. There was one juror that waffled, but again, Justice Toll found that that person's statement was incredible. So ultimately, no evidence of undue influence impacting the jury's verdict has been brought forward to date. So this is really just a question of law and not fact. So does it matter, Jen?
What did Becky actually do?
Well, she wrote a book. And had she never self-published her book about her time during this trial and how she persevered and what she knew, I don't think any of this would have come to the attention of Alex's lawyers. But they're ultimately saying that she had made statements during the trial, such as make sure you're watching Alex's body language, which is bogus because that's you should watch their body language. Like that's part of it. So nothing really other than Alex has money somewhere that he is somehow paying these lawyers for to make these appeals. So yeah, it's we'll see what happens. I don't know if it matters. Most people don't know if it matters because even if they reverse the murder conviction, the state attorney general still has to decide whether or not they're going to actually pick it up and retry the case. And considering that he's already been convicted federally and under state law for financial crimes, that he's never getting out of jail anyway. So the attorney general may decline to give Alex another shot at trying to prove his innocence. But we'll see. Either way, we're going to be revisiting Alex again in the future, and you'll get to go back and study some more.
Okay, Carrie, you know I'm not going to let us end without at least a little sports talk.
Okay, hit me. Let's start with tennis.
All right, so the French Open is later this month. And they announced their updated prize money recently, and the players are not happy.
Let me guess, not enough zeros on them checks.
Kinda. So the French Open pay bump is smaller than what the other 3 slams had agreed to. And the players are asking for just a bigger percentage of the total revenue. So yes, they want more money, but really they just want a bigger share of it. And in the French Open case, they're actually getting a smaller percentage than they did last year, even though they're getting slightly more money. And Ariana Sabalenka, who's the world #1, said the recourse would be to boycott the tournament.
And do you think she's really going to?
No. But I will say this has been a conversation for several years, and it feels like the frustrations are at reaching a breaking point. And Ariana was not the only player that mentioned it. The letter that was written to the French Open was signed by, I believe, 20 players, including Yannick Sinner, Coco Gauff, some of the top players on both the men's and the women's side.
Interesting. Okay, well, we'll keep our eyes on that. So let's go to soccer, the World Cup. That starts in about a month.
It does. And we're going to see if the stadiums are actually full. So supposedly general tickets have sold out. Premium seats are not, though, and there are tons of available tickets on resale sites. But the most telling is that according to the hotel industry, they are seeing lower occupancy than what was expected.
So no one's officially boycotting the World Cup, but it does seem like the outrageous prices and that the state of our country is just not giving very welcoming vibes to international tourists at the moment.
No, they are not. And, to give you one good example, so the New Jersey Transit is charging $45 for what normally is a $12 train ride because, they shouldn't foot the bill for all of this. But they asked for this, right? New Jersey, New York, they submitted a proposal to FIFA begging for a location to have the games.
And so you can't act. This isn't a surprise game, y'all. Uh, so, hockey, how are your Sabres doing in the Stanley Cup?
They are looking good. They won their first game of the second round against the Canadians. And by the time this episode airs, I am going to manifest up 2-0 energy.
And in an important related question, Jen, how do you feel about the launch of Chad Michael Murray's new candle line this past week?
Love that he looked at his cameo requests and thought, you know what else I can sell these girls? Candles. It's obviously pure nostalgia marketing, and the price point is wild.
Yeah, like $65 for a regular sized candle in a regular jar with a regular label.
Right. That's insane.
Very.
But if I'm going to be honest with you, as a girl who was once emotionally invested in Lucas Scott, the idea of my living room smelling like a curated CMM memory is kind of delightful.
Yeah, so I can almost hear that Shopify ding on your phone now. Like, ching. So yeah, you're gonna get one. That's what I figure. All right, that's enough Met steps, legal settlements, and prize money math for one day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Might Erase Later.
And send us your most unhinged celebrity story. We might erase it, but we will definitely discuss it first.